All right, welcome LARPers to the Elder Chat episode 2, where we're going to be talking about hosting roleplay sessions. Tonight we have a couple of elders here to help us talk about this and different ways we can do roleplay sessions besides in game. There's a lot of things we can do out of game as well. We have Greycore here. Say hello, Greycore.
Thank you, and good to be here.
Odin. Odin.
Yep, sorry, I had my microphone turned off. I'm here, greetings.
Ryan.
Hi. Good to see you all again.
She has the miraculous ability to see people through the microphone, so be careful,
And I'm also a woman.
which makes it twice as crazy. And Sephiroth.
Well, greetings.
All right. So let's first talk about some of the role play sessions we can do while we're in a game, whether it's a battlefield session, a crafting event, an outpost game, or an all day or all weekend realm event. First off, let's talk about some of the battle session roleplay that you can do. Now, battleground events are consistently made up of sparring exercises, learning how to play the game. It's really great for beginners. And some of the things they do besides the battling and some of the crafting during a battleground event, the elders will sit down with a group and talk about character creations and how characters will um, play out in a specific scenario. A lot of times these are just roundtable gatherings, which are extremely fun. They are a huge blast. So if anybody wants to chime in on anything, just go ahead and say something, and I'll be quiet. The last battle session we had up in the Inland Waters colony, we started out as a crafting session, and then at the end of the crafting session, we actually did a role play scenario game, and it was a lot of fun, and we had to try to do it as in our characters, and some of the characters actually, after they were out or stopped playing their characters, they would actually come in as an NPC character, of which the players' characters would have to interact with those NPCs in a challenging way or in a different way than what they were, normally used to. Elders will a lot of times do these types of things to try and, if they see that a character hasn't really been, uh, if it really hasn't been utilized, or it's, you know, uh, there are parts to a character that are kind of mysterious or the gaps aren't quite filled, an elder may take a subtle approach to bring that to light in a roleplay session before or after or even during a game to help that player practice and, you know, do something that may be a little bit different than what they're used to doing, to introduce them to other parts of the role play.
Do you think you'd like to mention a couple of the basic scenarios that you guys were doing?
Yeah, I mean, for the latest one that we did, we were actually sitting around a makeshift campfire, even though the immersion was pretty slim. Let's just put it that way. We had gathered up. We set the scene with a little bit of a story of the small village that we were in, and talking amongst some of the town people, we had found that there was like a few of the people from the town were missing. They went off on an adventure. They went hiking, and they never came back. They sent out some scouts. The scouts never came back, and we were trying to do a roleplay session where it was more of a speculation of what could have happened. Now, the backstory on this there wasn't really no real backstory, and this was explained to the players before they got into this session, that they would actually come up with alternative uh, possibilities, and then they would have to explain why those possibilities were even possible. So they were making up the backstory and coming up with kind of like a hypothesis of this mystery that was happening. And it was very interesting watching players having to think of how their characters are going to say these things, but then also watching them on the fly trying to come up with a backstory for what they were talking about. It was it was a little rough at first, but after we got into it a little bit, it was pretty neat. And then each player was playing off of each other's backstories on that. So it was a great exercise. It was a lot of fun.
I think the key thing there is just doing a lot of different practice scenarios like that to allow people to practice, and also some people to come out of their comfort zone a little bit and experiment with things.
Right.
And it probably, will help them flesh out their backstory, if they have to come up with a scenario or, as you say, backstory for what's happening. It also helps them then think of things for themselves to progress their character, as in, okay, well, I just came up with a great idea. Why can't I use it in my character?
Absolutely. And some of these smaller role play sessions that you would do in a backyard or at a battlegrounds or a practice session, where and if you set the role play to uh, you know you can do this as your character or experiment with something as your character without it affecting your backstory. When it's in a game, that's a little bit different because you are you're in the game, you're part of that, and following your story is pretty darn important unless otherwise said. But doing it outside of an actual game is a lot more relaxed, and you can experiment with a bunch of stuff. And uh, you know some of the role plays we started doing with the role play sessions, we actually started breaking out into fights, and then the role play session became a battle session. But it was all, again, all out of fun. And some of them got pretty interesting. Let's just put it that way.
So far, our practice sessions have been pretty lax in the role play. I mean, we there's banter back and forth. We communicate to each other as if in character, but there's no real lore building or any storytelling involved. It's pretty much more. We've been trying to get a feel for each other, but I mean, as I've said before, we've had moments where one of the other players will say he falls during or dies rather during his particular spar. He'll lay there and die, or stay dead, and then a couple of sessions later he decides to rise up, and from that point becomes an NPC or monster, and it's pretty amazing to watch the entire group all of a sudden come together to focus against a common enemy. But next week's session actually is when I'm gonna try and roll out some heavier roleplay.
I know when Odin and I first started, we didn't have any clue how to role play a character, as we just kind of were coming up with them on the fly on the top of our heads, like we're used to doing. And when we started actually sitting down, like, okay, how would this character actually handle this situation? And it wasn't just talking about how that would actually happen. It was, okay, let's try to get this character involved in this situation and see how it would actually roll. Instead of talking about it, it's just, okay, here we go, and go. Sometimes it was marvelous, sometimes it fell flat on its face.
Or we just both bursted out laughing because one of us was so far out there that it was like, wow, okay, yeah, there's no way that's going to ever happen. But, I mean, that's part of it. I mean, that's how you figure out, how your character is going to play out. I mean, some people can't do multiple characters in their head, I guess, They can't talk to themselves. I don't know. I'm pretty good at it, but...
Yeah, when you start answering yourself, that's unique.
Unless you're answering yourself as a different person, and everybody knows you're that different person. But still, it's from an outsider, especially an outsider looking in. And that's we should probably put a little bit more emphasis on the Larpcraft system too. People say, can we make an alternate character? Well, yeah, you can, but coming up with a backstory for one character that's really good and that you can play really well, and that you'll be able to know their abilities and that kind of stuff. If you start introducing 3 or 4 alts, it's really tough to get enough role play in there to where you actually can develop a nice character. So the more characters you have, the harder that really becomes. Seasoned veterans have a little bit easier time with it, but even the seasoned veterans will only introduce alts rarely, or play them rarely. But anyway, how would we go about, like as we come into sessions like the multi-day games, scheduling on the NPC schedule and also just the event schedule, those roleplay sessions can really help bring the right people together at the right times. If they have some knowledge of, this is going to be a session held at this tent, or, in this area, that may be combat, may not be combat. A lot of these things can focus a group to a specific topic, while the topic then will shift and merge however they play that. It gives the elders and the game organizers in the plot a good way to plop something on a group when they're ready for it. Roleplay sessions in game are really good for that. Okay. Some of the things that we can watch out for as elders, and players can do this too with other players. You'll start to see when a player is definitely perhaps in over their head when they're trying to role play a character that in a session that may be far too involved for them. Making sure that an elder can identify that, you can physically see it, that they'll start looking uncomfortable, they'll start stuttering a lot, they might get aggressive, or a lot of times you just read their body language. They're crossing their arms, they're starting to resist whatever's happening. Good elders will identify those and either break it up or go into smaller sessions or bring out a combat thing or do something so that that player can either refocus or get out of the role play without breaking what's happening. So those are
I
all
would
things.
I would say heavy fidgeting probably would be one thing that you can also notice that they're going to start to do. They'll start to play with their costumes. They'll start to do other things when they don't feel comfortable.
Right. Looking down a lot, not making any eye contact, or looking around, like you said, just going around. And that also could be a a case of boredom or ADD or you know, uh, like I said, good elders will just start to recognize when characters are coming out of that and that sort of thing. So
That kind of touches a little bit on the follow-up we talked about last meeting.
uh-huh. So I'm going to write that down as we're making the elder how-to guide for hosting great games and practice sessions, to come up with some video scenarios for identifying players who are having a difficult time playing their character and some possible solutions to handle it in the correct way. Because a new elder will have a hard time, perhaps, dealing with that if they don't have any of those skills in the real world or in the professional life to handle it. And there are, quite a few real basic things that you can do, like we just mentioned, to remedy the situation or put the fire out or ease the tensions and to make sure everybody's still having a really good time.
So raising my voice and blatantly calling the person out isn't the way to go about it, huh?
Yeah, that typically isn't a good sign. And now if you're calling your character out, now let's say it's a role play session with a bunch of orcs. Or even more interesting, how would you play that out as a whole bunch of undead characters? Undead warriors or something. It's a bunch of moaning. Um, Orcs, barbarians, some of the other characters that are typical of less talk, more action. Then that's part of the role play. But yeah, saying Jimmy Bob, your character is just you really aren't playing this very well. That is definitely not the way to go about it.
No, a lot of people have problems with constructive criticism. That would definitely be something you probably want to address more out of game as opposed to in game.
Right. And that's something that's fun too for a lot of players, and a lot, informal sessions, like even just coming onto the TeamSpeak channel on Larpcraft and just going into the in-character game area and try to play out a scenario just over the voice portal. Uh, we've done
Yeah.
that quite a few times,
And you
and
you
it's
can't
turned
see
out to be
body
pretty fun.
language either, so you don't know if the person's serious, if they're, that facial expression and body language goes a long way. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even as elders, it would probably be good for us to even try that and do that often. Because if you can identify in a person's tone of voice how they're feeling, that puts you way ahead of the ball game too.
Or it can lead you completely astray. There are some people who will talk, their voice gets higher or something happens, and you think they're getting mad when really they're not.
Right, everybody's intonation is different, and it's going to get even more challenging when we branch out into forum role playing, because then you don't even have any vocal cues to go by.
Right. And I guess that kind of would lead us into that next session of, we're trying to do role play sessions outside of the realms or outside of the battlegrounds and come up with some unique ways that players can stay as their character or progress their character between games or between practice sessions. So what Larpcraft is doing, besides having the TeamSpeak channel here, which is like our main portal, we're introducing the roleplay forum-based realm. So it's an entire realm. It has a map. It's gonna, having a backstory. You're gonna run campaigns. There's gonna be just general chats through that those role plays in those stories, and you almost got a. We haven't quite figured it out yet, and we've had a lot of great response from other folks in the Larp communities, both on Facebook and Google, and talking with others who are very familiar with forum-based roleplay, because it is a little bit different. But to be able to run a story with a certain amount of players and see that story through, it'll be really really neat to see develop. And we're putting together the rules for that right now. This is, beginning of 2013 when this recording is happening, and as we speak, that system is being developed. And we have a set number of elders who are more comfortable and have a lot of experience with forum-based roleplay. So we, the big challenge is to inform our players how is this different than actual, tabletop roleplay, live action roleplay, et cetera, et cetera. Because when you die in the forums, if you don't have a cleric there or some other way to resurrect you, the resurrection has to be the written word has to say, this cleric used this mana band and performed this resurrection on this person. If that doesn't happen, that person will die. And if they don't have a way to resurrect, a character could become deceased in the roleplay forum or in the roleplay realm, forum-based realm.
I mean, I haven't gotten into any of that as to this point as to what's really happening, so I'm kind of clueless. But I mean, are you going to? You said small player base. Are you going to lock it so that others can't just interject, or?
Yep. Each campaign we'll set up a temporary until the forum is completely closed. That campaign, that thread, if you will only have a certain amount of players into it. Now, players reading the story could think, oh, I could really interject here. I could actually introduce my character at this point in the story. They would first have to get a hold of the elder running that story and say, hey, I would like to join this story, and here's how. And then that elder or the person running the game there would then either say yes or no if they can do it. But they wouldn't be able to chat in the thread without that prior approval. Some of you may remember a while ago we were running stories through the shout box. We would set up a scenario in the shout box, and everybody would just talk as their character, and it was forum-based roleplay that we were doing in the shout box. We did it 3 or 4 times, and a few times it was pretty darn successful for a while. But because anybody can chat there, it of course didn't last forever.
And it deteriorates pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. But so there's a lot of different ways to put those roleplay sessions in and out of what a typical realm would see, or a live location, a live action roleplay would be. I became a member on RPG.net, roleplaygames.net. I think that's the forum-based roleplay, and it's strictly forum-based. They have a lot of members, and you have to send in your submission, your character bio, that kind of thing. And there's a lot of rules to read as to how to interact properly without putting words into or giving an action to somebody who you can't speak for. And there's a lot of the things that they're doing, and they've been doing it for a lot of years. They're fantastic writers on that site, and I've been learning a lot from that site on how to introduce that here with our live action role players. I think we've had a pretty decent response too, with just the outline of, hey, this is what we're thinking of doing. Most people that read that Nobody had anything negative to say about it. I would contend, however, that a lot of people don't have any clue as to how that actually plays out. So we'll probably put together a few samples first, along with our posted rules and maybe a video or a speak through of how this works as we're doing it on the website itself, a talk over, if you will. Make a little video that way. That's a possibility.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing forum based is kind of like email based. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So I mean, everybody's kind of got a turn. They can say what they wanted to do. Blah 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 blah. So.
Yeah, we never thought about actually doing the email base.
I mean, it could
that is a
easily just
possibility.
be private message, then the moderator, then lists what happened, then everybody gets a turn to submit.
Sure. Yeah, it could be run
I'm
as a
throwing it
private
out there.
conversation between multiple participants outside of the forums, just in the software itself, but not where anybody can read it until it's over.
Well, I mean, even still, you could, as your turn happens, let's say, okay, this is going to be the scenario, blah, you list it on the forum. Then everybody submits to that person that posted as to what the interactions were going to be. You know, the 5 people or whatever that are involved, or 7, 8, 10, you know, as it goes. And then that moderator then posts again as to what happened, and, you know, they can interject the craziness of the NPCs that way. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, they could also, you could just do it that way as forum based too. Here's the scenario. These people all put their stuff in. Boom. Now this is the scenario as to what all played out.
Yeah, it's
Just a thought.
definitely something we should test. I think that would work.
I mean, I've done the email side as the GM, kind of, you know, general game manager, to do it that way. I mean, I have no problems trying it. I mean, if we wanted to try something like that, but
At LARPcraft, we're all about trying different things. That's probably the one thing we do best.
I know I wanted to try and maybe get a group together to do through TeamSpeak a small RP session.
That'd be fantastic. And if we utilize TeamSpeak more, I mean, really, we don't utilize this like it could be used more in character, you know.
yeah, Rihanna, I mean, all you have to do is post something saying, hey, I'm going to be on this time, we're going to try blah, 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 in the forums even, and I'm sure you'd probably have a lot more responses. People showing up to even the in-character chat.
And even if they're just like short little RP sessions, I think that would be a lot of fun.
It would be. As we're recording here, Cephorus is actually posting. Why don't you go ahead and read that there, Cephorus, so that the audience can hear it?
All right. Lieutenant Odin and Rion are traveling down an old dirt road. They've been contracted by the local constability to locate a group of missing teens. The rumor mill has been fierce with reports of beasts in the area, and the local community fears the worst. What happens next?
A prime
That's
example.
nice.
User joined your channel.
And joining us,
Hey, Echo.
Echo is coming into the conversation. Welcome.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
No worries.
No takers.
Oh, I was gonna say go Rion. Decide what you want to do. We'll all play from there. Ladies first.
Well, in this instance, I'd probably try and organize a search pattern of the local area, locating a map if I'm able to, or getting directions from locals of key landmarks that the kids might have gone to.
Lieutenant?
Well, in my paladin sense, I would probably make sure that my armor is shiny. And then I would grab a bunch of my friends who also had shiny armor, and I would scout about, trying to find these beasts. Perhaps forgetting that I'm looking for teens when I'm really looking for beasts. Odin?
Our tenant's drunken state. A paladin that wanders around drunk. What am I looking for? Oh, let's swing at this tree. Definitely ready myself with a fireball and walk around and, I don't know, start rummaging through the bushes. And the only reason our tenant's laughing is because he knows I would probably do that, so.
Mage, what are you doing in those bushes? I'm rummaging. With a fireball in your hand, isn't that dangerous? So Sephiroth has posted once again. Why don't you read it again?
You're already walking down the road, just the three of you. You have taken the little intel you were able to get from the locals, which suggested only that the rumors were from the south.
I look at the other two and I say, I don't like walking south. But I will. Do you think we should walk south?
Were we walking south or were we walking north? I mean, it's hard to say. It says walking down the road. Does down mean south? So we're heading in the right direction?
Oh yes, we are walking south.
Wait,
Then just keep walking.
Wait, did you hear that?
What? Where?
A rustle in the bushes?
Over there.
Beyond that tree there, I see it. It's rummaging.
What is it? I have never seen one of them before.
Where is this voice coming from? It sounds not of our party.
Oh, a strange man appears from behind the group and whispers.
And somehow we have a beast druid laughing somewhere. Echo had written in the chat that she's laughing. A doe? A deer? A female deer. Do we have any orcs? Are they hungry?
I throw a fireball.
Roast.
Denison.
Apparently your shot is not very good, Odin, for the doe has fled.
Yeah, I'm getting old and rusty.
So as
Now
we are talking throughout our roleplay session here, Sephiroth is actually GMing in a way by posting words in the TeamSpeak forum or in the TeamSpeak channel that we have to respond to. Back in character. My apologies.
So who's the man whispering behind us?
Who is this man?
Ooh, a howl from the right. Sounds like it's a good distance away, though.
Could these be these beasts? Odin, what do you think?
Oh,
Go ahead, Rion.
I was going to say, I personally tend to avoid direct combat, but I will leave the decision of whether to face the beasts or to look in areas that they're not occupying to you guys.
Is the human ranger Greycore in with us here, or is he not? We heard him whisper. But being the stealthy ranger he is, we have not seen him yet.
I am here, and I shall scout ahead.
Amazing how he can appear like that.
Perhaps he might be able to stumble across the tracks of the teenagers.
I've been tracking them for days already. Where have you all been?
We have not been tracking them.
I'm lost.
Oh boy,
He's
the
lost.
ranger's lost. No wonder he can't find the teenagers. So are we chasing the beasts or the kids? Someone decide.
I think the kids.
So the kids are howling? So we should go left. Greycore, which direction did you go?
Straight.
You're on the
going
path
south?
yet?
South.
Artanen?
I will follow Greycore, for the rumors still say that they came from the south.
The sun is beginning to set, and the shadows grow long. A cool wind begins to blow.
We must hurry.
Or do we set camp?
We shall find shelter beneath this ridge.
I think it better to look for the teens before it gets too cold.
Did we bring our torches?
I'm a human torch. You want something set on fire?
Yes,
We shall
the fire
travel by the
mage.
moonlight.
Greycore, do you carry arrows and bow?
I do not.
Hmm.
And let's hope we don't run into those beasts.
So we're going to keep searching then, beyond sunset?
We shall travel during the night.
Oh boy, I'm gonna grow weary. Hey, Shiny, let me climb
Hey.
on your back.
What?
I'm gonna climb on your back. You can carry me.
I'm already heavy enough with this armor on.
Didn't bring the wheelbarrow?
Not this time. I mean, I have this wheelbarrow.
Awesome.
Pulled by this water buffalo.
And a water buffalo? Sweet.
The wheelbarrow is what we call it back in our homelands. It's actually a wagon.
Two-wheeled or Ford?
Four-wheeled wagon, covered. It's a big wheelbarrow.
The trail splits.
Greycore, do you see any signs of passage?
There is grass folded over along this edge. Somebody has passed through here.
How long ago? Were they kids?
There are no prints. It is only grass folded over.
Check what daylight we have left. Are we going more south? Is it east, south, southeast?
What is this? A piece of cloth.
And now it's dark.
The sun sets in front of us. We're still going south.
which would indicate we're going not south.
Right, we would be going west.
Of course, these lands could be different. Are there two suns?
Oh, I never thought of that.
These lands are new to me. There are many mysteries.
Including the directions.
Uh-oh, what do you do?
What do you do?
With a Klondike bar? I'm sorry.
These bars of Klondike, I heard, are very tasty. But that may be a topic for another time. The land of Klondike. I believe I've been through there. So what shall we do, Greycord?
We must keep pressing through. The moonlight, it is good. The clouds will move in a short period of time. We must press through.
I believe we should definitely favor the path with the cloth upon it.
Aye.
Do we have anybody here that can smell this cloth? Are there any bloodstains on this cloth?
I heard a second howl off to the left. It's closer this time.
Hurry. Keep moving fast.
Fast or quiet?
Both.
That's easy for you to say. I've got plate armor on.
Quiet that clinkety harmony down.
I'll go in the wheelbarrow. I'll just hop
It's
on the
getting
water
too dark
buffalo.
to make out any details.
Ready the torches. Mage. Light them up.
Better to save his magic.
Does that cost you any magic?
We're surrounded.
Of course it cost me magic. It's almost time to take a nap. And I can get some back.
Oh boy. They're all around us.
Back to back then.
Aye.
Protect the wagon.
Better yet, we could use it as a defense.
Behind the wagon.
Odin, are you okay?
Get off of him.
What's going on?
I strike the man wolf down with my mighty blade.
I'll grab Odin and pull him back towards the wagon.
I have first aid. Permission to touch?
Granted.
Quick, this man wolf is turning on me. Ah! Bit me in the forearm. Quickly!
I can help you. Get over here, quick!
I drag myself over.
I'll try and hold it off by a sword. With a sword.
Still following me. It's got me.
I'll raise up the blade to try and spear it.
I'm pulling out my dual-wield weapons, and I shall help.
Yay, I successfully impaled the beast.
Well done.
Odin, our tenant, you must keep these wounds clean. We do not want infection.
It's gushing. It hurts.
Can anyone tell what the other beasts are doing?
2 more. They come.
I already
Okay.
water wall.
I'll take
Cast
the
water
one on
wall
the right.
myself.
I throw a knife and stick one of them in the neck.
I grab my shield out, eager with vengeance, and charge the other man-wolf beast.
That one charging right at you, Artenon.
As we collide, I push my shield up into his face. As his claws come up to the shield to bring it down, my blade strikes both of his legs, paralyzing him down to the ground.
While they're locked in combat, I'll come up from behind and stab it in the back.
Well done, for it is dead.
We have done well, my friends.
The night is young, for the sun has just set.
And we have still not found the teenagers.
I fear more danger lurks in the woods.
They seem to be moving away, these howls. Perhaps they know we are too much of a match for them.
More than just food.
Perhaps. Or perhaps there's a greater threat in these woods besides man-beasts. What else do we have in the wagon that can help us?
I see some
Oh, hey.
rope in there.
Check that out. There's a torch in here.
Well, we seem to have scared off the other beasts. Perhaps we could try calling out to the children at this point. I mean, if the other beasts were going to attack us, they would have done so by now.
There could be more in there, and that could draw them in.
We don't even know their names.
We could scare them away if they hear us. What shall we do? Should we rest for the evening and start again at first light?
I'd feel bad leaving the kids out defenseless in the woods with those beasts.
Do you hear that? Simmer down. A dog!
I hear dogs.
It barks!
Sounds angry.
That's right, lassie. She's picked up the scent. Great job on bringing the dog.
Your wounds need redressing. We must stop the bleeding.
'Tis only a flesh wound. Someone follow lassie. Greycore, can you redress this wound quick? I'm feeling woozy.
Yes, sit down. Sit down. Drink some water, and I will wrap the wound.
I'll keep a lookout while you guys are tending to his wounds.
Is there any food in the wagon?
Your wagon?
I didn't pack it. We
There's
left in a
always
hurry.
food in the wagon.
There you go. Rion knows there's food in the wagon.
Perhaps some hot wine.
Mulled?
Even better.
Hey, look, there's a bottle of that in here, too.
Ha 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 ha. That'll close the wound up.
I thought you said you didn't do that.
I
packed this thing.
Heard about it in my studies.
We should sleep in shifts.
You want this torch lit?
My arm is of no use. The bleeding keeps gushing.
We'll have
It
to
needs
get
a
you
suture.
to a proper healer.
I suppose I could try and use some of my divine magic. It's
That would
hard.
probably help.
It's very tough to do this on my own. I shall try. Let me meditate.
Are you skilled enough?
Yes. Be on the
Well,
lookout.
I'm gonna take a nap.
I'll keep watch.
I shall go on to High Ridge and keep a lookout as well.
The healing of the light has begun. What couldn't be healed by mere fabric has begun to heal by the power of the light. Though
It
my
must be
skin
nice.
is healed, I feel different. I feel strange. Much like I did when I came out of that crypt back in Gandalahar.
Hearing that, I will slowly position myself facing our tenon.
There, did you hear that? Something snorted, as if laughing at us in the woods.
I didn't hear anything.
Are you okay, our tenon?
I swore I heard something.
I have come down off the High Ridge, and I saw something moving to our left.
You there, come out. I draw my sword, stand to my feet.
There is hair stuck in the bark of this tree.
I can hear them and smell them. I can almost smell the fear. Something is there. Odin, can you ready a fireball?
Sure.
We shouldn't take any chances, but don't release it until we know it's not one of the children or teenagers, teens. I will slowly approach this object. Gregor, ready your weapons.
Aye, we are ready.
There's a surge of violent anger coursing through my veins that I've never felt before.
The light from the moon makes her blades glisten.
Gregor, I think something strange is going on with our tenon. He said he feels similar to when he stepped into the crypt and lost control of himself.
I was not there that night. I was there watching the fence the whole time that occurred out in the woods.
He acted strange, as if possessed, and then had no memory of the event.
This is different. This is all different. Though it has the same similar feeling of the not being myself.
Keep a close eye on him.
I'm going into these bushes. Where this thing is. I draw my blade. I strike at the bushes. I do not see what I'm striking. The rage has consumed. There's nothing
Artenin.
here.
Come back to the clearing.
There's something here. And I just sharpened this blade. I hit nothing but trees, rocks, and leaves. Look, what is that?
Don't touch it.
It appears to be a potion bottle.
What color is it? I call dibs on blue.
It appears to... I can't tell with this moonlight. Is that red, Greycore? Does that look like a...
It's a small red bottle.
Where did you find it?
There, on the path. It seemed to just roll down the path. Perhaps it just came out of the ditch. Was there a wind?
We should search around there. Small red potion bottles do not just appear in nature. One of the teenagers might be close.
Did any of the townsfolk say that any of them had any kind of supplies like this?
I didn't talk to anybody.
They might not have known.
Are you guys... Are you seeing this? Is it getting
Seeing what?
lighter?
No, it's almost pitch black.
Am I dying? It's not pitch black for me.
Artenin, my good friend, what are you feeling?
I have a scratch. Hold on.
A scratch?
Down that pathway there. By that red potion bottle. The laundry. That pile of clothing there.
I don't see it.
It's right where the red potion bottle came from. Open your eyes. Get closer. If you can't see it, I can see it clear as day. Steady your blades. This mound seems to be breathing. Quickly. A bone. I mean, together.
A bone?
This pile of laundry is not a laundry pile at all. This pile of clothing is a being.
Is it one of the teenagers? Are they all right?
I don't know. Who wants to go check it? It smells fresh.
Smells fresh.
Not wounded.
It's moving.
It's coming towards us.
Idiot men. Drink.
It speaks. Who are you?
Drink.
No. I don't simply drink red potions from strange beings that appear out of nowhere.
You value the idiot? Make him drink.
What is it?
Cure for arm.
For harm? Or arm?
The arm. I take the bottle. I open the top. I smell it. It smells quite lovely. Mostly fruity. I look over at Greycore. Should I take this?
I would not.
Here, smell it. Do you smell the fruitiness?
That is rancid.
Smells pretty fruity. Odin, smell this. Odin?
I can't smell anything. I don't know what you guys are smelling. I would just drink it.
What do you think?
Unfortunately, I have no knowledge of potions or poisons, so I would not be able to tell you whether it is good or ill.
This feeling must stop. I crave meat.
Drink or be lost.
Looks at the group one last time.
Drink it.
I begin to drink the potion. Swallowing it down. The bottle is empty. I feel strange. What's going on?
How do you feel?
I feel better.
Do you still feel like before?
Before I took the potion, there was a sense of smell, of decay coming down the trail. But I can no longer smell it. It's dark. I don't know what's happening.
So daylight disappeared? Trying to tell me?
It was light. Like a full moon, a harvest moon. And now it is as dark as you and I have seen it before. The moon is behind the clouds. It couldn't have been that light. This potion has blinded me. What was
Who are
that
you,
potion?
stranger?
Echo.
Echo?
Echo.
Yes. What are you looking for?
Some kids that were lost in the woods.
Lost or looking to be found?
Aye, she speaks in riddles.
I was thinking the same thing.
Not riddles. Your tongue limited.
Their parents want them found.
Did you hear that noise?
Sounded like a groan or a moan of some sort. A child. It cries.
Quick, let's get there now.
Are you ready, Odin? Greycore.
Push on.
Let's get to the front of the line. Draw your sword.
I am ready.
Running. Clanking. Running. Clanking.
Good Lord, you make a lot of noise. You'd wake the dead, I think.
How far do we got? Run.
Look, this hollow. It widens.
Pretty large
Do you
for
see
a
a
wide.
child?
Artenin, did you leave the yak? You have a whistle for that yak?
Yes. Should I call it?
I would hold off.
There's two
Look.
small children in the center.
This could be a trap.
Most always is.
Let's get them. They're crying. Children,
I'll
are you
rush
okay?
forward to them.
Truly
I'm
an
s-
idiot.
I'm sticking back a little bit.
Swords drawn. I'm going in. Got to get them out of there. I'm to the children. I stand them up. There, into the cave, the child says, is where they went.
Are you two okay?
They seem to be fine. Shaken, scared, but not harmed.
You're going to take the words of two children that we're going into a cave.
How did you get away?
Look at their eyes.
I would throw them back too.
Child says that if you enter, you will die, as well as the others.
What said?
I thought it was one of the children that said that. The being said that if we followed it, we would all die. That's what the child heard. Quickly, children.
From what?
Takes the children to the back of the group. Make sure they're okay. Like me, but dead? It says it looks like me, but dead.
Oh boy. You remember that death knight we had back in Maywood? I forget his name.
Mill,
Began with an M, I think.
Mill something.
Is that of the Milroth variety?
Yeah, I think it's like that. Because I remember fighting it, and whenever him and Artena got into a tangle, no one else could enter that circle.
Small ones.
Children, were there any others with you? Perhaps maybe a little older than you.
I apologize, my friends. I've received message that I must leave and go to another land for the evening. Farewell and stay safe in your journey.
Here, before you go, take these kids with you. Bring them back to the village.
I shall take them there safely.
They said there were olders. Older children are in that cave with that assuming undead creature.
So what do we want to do?
I'm watching Greycore disappear
Why-
into the blackness.
Well, if this undead creature is as strong as you guys implied, perhaps we should wait and
User
regroup.
disconnected from your channel.
I can call upon the light.
You are a holy idiot.
She has as much respect for you. I'm starting to like her a lot. She has as much respect as I do for you.
Quit your bickering. What bag of tricks do you hold, Odin? What can we fight this thing with? We're gonna need something ranged.
Well, fire always seemed to work pretty well. So, what do you think, Artena? We diving in here?
We must do something to save those children.
I'm gonna need you to take point again, like always.
Perhaps we should give. Perhaps I should let me pass on my divine magic to you and give you armor of the holy type, the light armor. Before we go in there.
Okay.
Scus nella vina. I cast upon holy armor of the holy aura to the party.
Yay!
You now have +1 armor. I think whatever I ate back at the camp is not agreeing with me.
Why, you got to poop? Yo, every time we have to fight something, you always seem to have to run to the potty.
Never fails.
Meat was always kind of your sore spot, wasn't it?
Perhaps.
Makes your tummy rumble.
I shall put down my shield before we go into this cave.
We set in camp?
The power of the light. I'm going to bring out a justice spell. I can take him to mortal wound, but I can't finish him off.
We could probably finish that in 2 hits then, huh?
Severus, you want to say that out loud?
And here we shall pause for the night. Tune in next week, guys, for the exciting conclusion.
Or perhaps this was just a prime example of how we came up with a totally impromptu roleplay session over TeamSpeak. Had this been plotted out a little bit better, it probably wouldn't have gone for an hour and a half.
It was
That
still
more like an
fun.
hour. It was pretty good.
Is this the first time anyone's tried to RP over TeamSpeak? Like, just pretty much a voice channel?
For me, this is essentially the only difference here is you guys telling me I'm doing this and me saying, okay, well, roll, let's make sure it happened. It's no different than a tabletop game. From a DM perspective, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly the same thing as I was thinking about email, or I'm guessing this is going to work out exactly how forums are going to work. I mean, other than you're typing what you're going to do.
Except for this
Right.
turned into the elder running the game. So we performed our actions and then waited for a response from the elder who ran it to see what was going to happen. It was a clever way to get Greycore and Echo back into the game, or into this game, into this story that we just came up with.
Yeah, I mean, just basically had to come up with somehow. I mean, we even had to think kind of how were you going to pull these guys in.
So now I have to try to come up if we wanted to roll that story, or this was just a regular session. Pour our 10 in.
For me, it was just really a test to see if I can do a limited speech thing, which is quite aggravating, actually.
I think it'd be a lot of fun to incorporate an additional profile that would, if you plotted this out correctly, I would like to have sound effects. Something that would introduce you to something that would give you more immersion by, well, this is an audio channel, so it's audio.
Right. I mean, I could get a program for a soundboard and whatnot. That wouldn't be too difficult. There's hundreds of them out there.
Sure.
I mean, granted, if this was impromptu, I mean, if I were actually have run this, I probably would have had a script or two actually, just for general guidelines on how I wanted it to go, and possible deviations based off of whatever actions you guys, however you guys reacted to what I presented.
I think
You-
for something that was just very, spur of the moment, it went spectacularly.
There were a few lulls, I mean,
Hmm.
but that's going to
You'll
happen
have
when
that
it's
when you
impromptu.
are. Well, and look how many people we have. I mean, we had 6 people, and we had to try to not step on each other. And we had no script, no prior knowledge that this was going to happen.
The lack of script wasn't so much the issue. I mean, I'm pretty decent with improv. The hard part is trying to type it as fast as you guys are talking.
Greycore was just trying to push the envelope, I think.
Yeah. I was actually surprised at first. You were known as the moderating voice. You could have just said what you were going to say instead of typed it.
Yeah, but I started one way, and I don't know, force a habit.
Could go
That,
either way, yeah.
and it gives me a way to, I just kind of interject a little. I don't know.
You could do it either way, yeah.
I mean, from a
I do
forum
think-
standpoint, it would work a little bit easier because everybody would be just waiting. There wouldn't be where you guys are just going on back and forth with each other. It would just be the one post and then my reaction and then the posts and then the reaction.
Exactly. But then you have to wait for everybody to post, and that always becomes an issue.
Not necessarily. Sorry, I've got like play by post and mud nonsense background more than any kind of voice chat stuff. So I mean, the rule always kind of was, DM posts something. If it's directed at someone specific, you only need to wait for that specific person to put in a response. If it's a group sort of noticing thing, everybody has to at least put in a response or note down a pass, like hold action kind of thing.
Right. And should we do this again in the future, I probably will vocalize it as opposed to just typing it. Although I can think faster when I'm typing than I can when I'm speaking, as odd as that might sound.
Not
Well,
at all odd.
perhaps posting it in the text, as text, and then reading it off that way to ensure that you're not being talked over. And then if the session is recorded for people to listen to, then they wouldn't miss out on like little things that you were adding in, like
Yeah, because whoever listens to this is definitely gonna miss my whole side of it.
I think we did a pretty good job of trying to say what you wrote in our own words. So if you did miss out on some of this and you're still listening, congratulations. We value your feedback, so post it in our in the chat box below in YouTube or in the scrolls, as this one will actually be listed in the scrolls.
You're kidding me, right?
Probably not. I may take the story out though, so we'll see.
The only thing I'm saying is if you're going to post it with brackets, you may want to put who it's pertaining to. I mean, I understand after reading it who it was for, but you
Yeah, I
could put
didn't want to read
Artenin
that
with
either.
brackets.
I was going to ignore it because it wasn't actually. It didn't say Artenin, and I didn't want it to be Artenin.
Well, I know what he was trying to do, so.
Now I got to come up with frickin' hair. Artenin, why are you so hairy? Oh, you weren't part of that. You'll have to read it in the. You'll have to listen to it in the scrolls.
Not real yet.
Not really. And you never
Joking.
know. It could have worked out. You could have stayed on the side of the light. You never know where I'm going to take that.
Why am I always presented with these challenging decisions? Why do I
It
always
is
got to
your
be turned
nature.
into something I'm not? But yeah, anyway, I think that's pretty good for our session this evening. Again, this is the Elder Chat, episode 2, about hosting roleplay sessions. To recap, the roleplay sessions, both in-game and out-of-game, are a fantastic way to get players into their characters and to help them explore different possibilities that they may not have thought of because they were not in their character through a roleplay session. Elders must watch to make sure the game lulls don't happen, or when they do happen, or a character is, or when a player is uncomfortable, to address it in the correct way so that everybody has fun and comes back for more.
I was thinking before I logged on, I know, shocker, right? But about RP in general and how we want to be doing it on the forums or on the voice chat. And from my end, if I'm ever hosting any of them, I think the best way to do it for me would just to be who wants to have a connection with another character in game. Okay, so this was 5-10 years previous when you guys met, and maybe it was for 30 minutes, maybe it was for a couple of months, but I would be happy to run like interconnected RP, just because then you don't have people who are thinking, well, like there's a lot of RP that happens sometimes between events. So maybe 5 people have all the time in the world to RP with each other on the forums and everything. But everyone else doesn't, and then it seems like everyone else who didn't, what were their characters doing during that time? Just sitting on their ass, staring at the wall?
We experienced this in a few different games and even Gandalahar. There were characters who were more active on the scrolls in each other's lore, and they tended to, well, they had a great deal of knowledge about each other, and a lot of them had a bond that were not with the other people. So it still played out pretty well, but if it got too in depth, that's why we wanted to try to keep this as its own, the roleplay, forum roleplay as its own separate realm. Other people in the Larp community on Google Plus, when I mentioned this to them, they did say, one of them did say that they were hosting successful roleplay sessions in their Larp community, and eventually what happens is it's split. There are people who really got into it, and then all they wanted to do was roleplay by the forums. And then
Yeah, I've never seen that.
some of the LARPers got out of there and it kind of divided the group. So she cautioned that.
And especially if it's forum only, I can definitely see that happening. And that's why whole communities like Mythweavers exist, because that's all some people want to do.
Right. So the question for the elders and the Larpcraft community in general is, these limited campaigns, or this realm has its own story. How far do we allow something to happen? We still moderate it with the elders running the campaign of whatever's happening. So that can be, that can be answered.
How were you thinking about going with, you said, where it's completely separate? Like, how would you introduce that? It's just timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly nonsense where it doesn't matter in the long run?
There'll be, I would say, probably threads for, it's a forum-based roleplay realm for live-action role players. It's not going, it has to connect with your characters that you actually bring out into the physical realms. Maybe. I'm thinking. I'm just trying to make it so that I want it to be an asset for LARPers, not a detriment.
Yeah, I know. It's been the Gordian Knot been puzzling over. Yay, words as well. Because if somebody really, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, what if, a couple of people really get into knowing everybody in the RP realm, and then they have to come to a game and do that all over again if it's completely separate, but it's still sort of their characters. So I don't know. That's why I thought the 5 years ago, 10 years ago, tagline, disclaimer, just building past relationships so you could know someone once you already get into game was maybe the best way to do it, but not the only way, certainly.
I guess the only word of caution I have with that is we can't really assign a lot of XP just because there's 5 people that go into the forums and they have a campaign. You can't reward them for having, 5,000 XP for doing a campaign, and then the other 70 people that are on there or whatever have, no XP for it because either A, they couldn't get into that, or, like she said, I mean, if it's 10 years ago, maybe we could pull it off. That they get a little XP, but I mean, I don't know if there's a way to do it for characters that are already in the realms, I guess is my...
Well, personally, I think with XP, if it's going to be a roleplay on the forums, they're going to be getting XP for each of their posts. I don't think that they necessarily need to receive more XP on top of that, especially if a campaign goes on for a while and they're doing a ton of posts.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it.
I guess it would be more or less, we should really, in the elder section, put down what would the goal for this realm be? What are the limitations for each campaign? And how is it going to be used to progress LARP characters?
And is it something that's going to be up to each elder realm, whatever, who might be running it? Or is there going to be a uniform rule set? This is OC, this is in character, this is how you emote, such.
Eesh. Sounds like another set of rules I don't want to write.
It's not, it's generally about 5 rules tops. It's just about how, because you want the writing to be clear all the time, especially if you're limiting it to the forums only. So you don't want somebody writing in, say, first person and then someone else writing in third person, but their emotes aren't written out in a novel format. They're written out in the way that I tend to do it, that kind of stuff.
Well, I don't know if you were here when I had brought up like the email style, where the person that's running it puts something out there, and then everybody obviously would post to that as to what they want to happen. Then the moderator then goes on to do the same thing.
This is what was written so far for the roleplay forums. But before I get too much into this, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. So thanks to those who have listened. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next session. We will do some tavern talks, I believe, some more general tavern talks with just regular players, and we will continue to do our elder-only sessions. We bid you a fine farewell. Say goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.